on is considered as support. I hope it is clear.
Yes,
Hello?
sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. All right, so Christian, if I continue, yes, I'm listening.
Sir, my question was that, for instance, let's assume I'm using a table and the surface of the table, on the surface of the table, I've placed, let's say, I've placed a bond paper on it.
That place where
Then I'm doing the support on it. Does it mean that paper is serving as the support, or the table surface too is also the support in this case?
so you have placed what on the table. Can you come again?
A bond paper, let's say a Manila card,
Manila card,
on the table.
uh-huh.
Then my artwork is being transferred, or like I'm doing the painting on the Manila card on the table. So in this sense, is the Manila card serving as the support, or the surface of the table rather is serving as the support?
Yeah, see, it's very simple. Let me give you the clue. When you talk of the support, it is the surface that the final work is done on. The surface that carries the real weight is the support. So in this case, the table can never be a support, but rather the Manila card. You get it?
Yes, sir.
So that is it. The table can never be a support. However, if the final work is going to be done on the real table, okay, now the top of the table can be support. But the other way, it is a Manila card that you are transferring the work on and finish it. So the Manila card becomes a support. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Christian, can you continue? Continue with them.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So as I said initially,
so Christian, please, you mentioned drawing canvas. What is
yes,
the drawing canvas?
drawing canvas. Canvas is the name of a material. So canvas, you can stretch your canvas on a frame. Then you staple it on a frame, or you nail it on a frame.
Christian, let me come in.
Okay.
Madam, when you talk of the canvas, it is a type of fabric that look like khaki or jeans, right? Which we normally stretch it on a structure or a support on which we do artwork on. So it is normal fabric. Those days that we cannot get some, we normally use a flat sack, the white one, and use it as a canvas. But we have the rare canvas that look like jeans, but it's very quality. In fact, it's very durable, very strong than the normal fabric that we used to sew. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good. So continue, Christian.
Okay, thank you. So I said, imagine you are doing printing on a t-shirt. Definitely you put your t-shirt on the table before you do your printing. The table does not come in as a support. It is your t-shirt on which your final work will be done on. So now the t-shirt is now serving as a support, which is going to carry your final work. So now the t-shirt is your support, not the table. Zakutia, I think you're okay now.
Yes, bro. I'm okay.
Okay.
So in this case, can we say that drawing canvas is also a support?
Yes, it's a support. Your drawing canvas, it's a support. That is what you are going to do your final painting or whatever artwork on. So it's going to hold your painting, your final painting. That is what you are going to use as an exhibition or something. That is what you are going to show to people that that's it. So the drawing canvas becomes a support in here. Or even your handkerchief. Handkerchief too might be a support. Cloth might be a support, because that is what you are going to do the printing on. It can also serve as support. or even your mobile phone. Your mobile phone, the cover can serve as a support. That is what you are going to do your printing or your final artwork on. That can also serve you as a support. So any surfaces that you do your final work on is termed as a support.
Oh, Christian, you can continue. Right?
Okay.
You can project the slide. If you so.
Okay, say. Yes, level. Find the cable. Okay, thank you, Zay. Thank you for the opportunity. So I think today we'll talk about dry media, that is dry media. So by the end of this lesson, we'll be able to explain the concept of dry media in drawing. We'll also describe the characteristics and specific uses of type of dry media used in drawing. So drawing and painting media. So he's saying that in this context of drawing, mediums. Sorry, I'm coming. So in the context of drawing, mediums are materials that are used to make or paint a surface to create a picture or an impression. In other words, these materials bring out the actual impressions, they form parts of the finished work. 2, it says that there are 2 main classifications of drawing media. So you can see that when you talk about media, you're talking about things that makes or form marks on the surface, or probably things that causes an impressions on the surface. So there are 2 main classifications, and that we have the dry media and the wet media. So the dry media, you're talking about the pencils, the color pencils, you're talking about the charcoal and others. And with the wet media too, you are talking about things that you mix with water or probably liquid. It can be spirits, it can be water, it can be oil, that you need a liquid to mix before you can also apply on the surface. That is what is meant by talking about wet media. So the dry media, we are saying these are hard drawing media that are pressed or rubbed directly onto the surface of a ground in the desired direction to create marks that forms a visual image. Example are pencil, as I said before. We have crayons, we have pastels, we have charcoal sticks, etc. So the pencil, the crayons, the charcoal, the pastels, the colored pencil, you can think of others. So these are the dry mediums that we use to create impressions on the surface, or probably used to create our drawings. So I think we'll pick them one by one and we'll talk about them. So talking about pencil. So pencil consists of a holder and a lead. Natural sense, it consists of a wooden holder, and the lead is what is inside, the graphite which is inside the pencil. That is what we call lead. So the holder is the case in which the lead is loaded or fixed, whilst the lead is the media that is used to make a mark on the surface. So the lead is what is creating the impressions on the surface when you are doing your drawings. And the holder is what helps you to hold the pencil, the wooden case. So types of pencils, there are 2 main types of lead used to manufacture pencils. We have the soft and the hard lead. So the soft lead we are talking about, these are usually made of ebony and carbon. So the graphite inside, the lead inside the wooden case is made of ebony or a carbon substance. They are thicker and darker than hard lead. Soft lead are graded B and ranging from 2B to 9B. The high the number, the darker, soft and thicker the lead becomes. Soft lead are best used for freehand sketch and shade. So what is talking about here is that with a soft lead, we have grades for them. So when you watch your pencils, we have HB, 2B, 6B, 4B, 5B, 6, 9B, and so on and so forth. I think the highest we can go is, I think, 12B or so, 12B, yeah. So with the lead, they are the soft ones, and they give dark tones. That is for the soft leads. They give dark tones. So they ranges from the B to like the 12B. So we have B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5B, 6B, 7B, 8B, 9B, 10B, 11B, and we have 12B. And they are very, very soft. All you need is a little, you exert a little pressure, then you get your dark tone, as to compare with the hard lead. So the hard lead, you have to exert more pressure on the pencil before you can get a dark tone. But the dark tone would not be compared to that of the soft lead. So that is one of the characteristics of the soft lead. It gives dark tones. Any question here? Hello? Hello, colleagues.
Hello.
Hi. Hi.
Okay. I
Hello,
think you're
Peter.
with a soft lead.
Hello, Peter.
Yes.
Yes,
Peter,
sir.
let me come in a bit. Yes, as you were discussing, for the B pencils, the clue here is that they are very soft and they're very dark, whilst the H pencils are very hard and very light. So when you pick B pencil, when you look at the number range, starting from 2 to whichever number, some is up to 8, some is up to 12. So you can have about 2B, 4B, 3B, 6B, up to 12. Some is up to 8. So we look at the nature of these numbers for you to be able to determine which one you are selecting for your work. So the clue here is that when you talk of the B pencil, the softer it is, determined by the number. And so when you pick 2B, it is soft and dark. But when you compare 2B to 3B, 3B is softer and darker than 2B. So the higher the number, the softer and darker that B pencil is. So that is how it works. So the higher the number, the softer and darker that pencil is. So when you pick 6B compared to 3B, you realize that the 6B is softer and darker than the 3B. You get the point. So that is it. All the B pencils are softer and darker. And all the H pencils are harder and lighter. So when you pick H pencil, it also ranges from 2 to whichever number. So you can have 2H, 3H, 4H in that order. So when you compare 2H to 4H, you can see that 2H is lighter and harder, but 4 is harder and lighter than 2H. So you see that the higher the number, the harder, the softer the pencil is. So you realize that because of its characteristics being lighter and harder, fine artists don't use that pencil, but they rather prefer the B pencils because of its softness and the darkness of it. But for those who are into building drawing, those who are into technical drawing, they normally use the H pencils. They normally use the H pencil for their outline. And after that, they'll use the B pencil to deepen it. So in most cases, they prefer the light pencil, the H pencils to that of the B pencils. We artists use the B pencils more often, while the technical people who are into grading drawing, they use what? H pencil. I hope it is clear. Have I made any sense? And so, Christian, you can continue from here.
So crayon. The next drawing media we'll talk about is crayon. These are wax-like pastel made of molten wax mixed with powder color and shaped like chalk stick. They are available in variety of colors, such as brown, black, white, red, yellow, etc. Crayons are used for sketching and shading on paper supports and other matte surface. Crayons are less permanent, therefore, their drawings are usually made permanently by spraying over with a fixative such as varnish or lacquer. So we've all seen crayons before. They are telling us that the crayon is made from a molten wax. Normal wax that you know, like the wax that is used for candles. But pigment has been added to that, and pigment is the hue or a color, a powdered color, which has been added to the wax and has been shaped and molded into that pencil-like shape that you see in the market. So with the crayons, we have different colors, as said in the document. So after working with the crayon, you need to fix it. You need to protect the work with a fixative. And a fixative is just a material that is used to protect an artworks. So you spray, especially with dry medias. So you realize that after drawing with dry medias, the finished work starts to fade out, and you don't want it to fade out, or probably you don't want the graphite of the dry media to be blown away by air. So you need to fix it with a fixative. So you spray a lacquer to fix it nicely for you. That is what is termed as fixative. So using lacquer to make the work, to spray over the work and to make it permanent is what is termed as fixative. So we have fixative sprays in the market that you can buy or purchase them. After drawing or shading nicely portraits or portraiture, you can spray your fixative on it. Or you can, if you don't have money to buy the spray, you can get a lacquer, then you apply lacquer or varnish on the surface so that it will fix the work permanently for you. That is the duty of the fixative. So move on to chalk. With the chalk, we are saying chalk are common materials used by teachers to write on the board, on the chalkboard. They are manufactured in industries with natural pigments, compressed with a binder, and shaped like stick. They are made in variety of colors, such as white, yellow, brown, blue, green, etc., and are available in soft and hard, coarse or fine textures. They are used to sketch and transfer drawings from paper onto prepared ground. Good. So we all know chalk, and before you can, or before they can get chalk, they have to get a binder and a natural pigment. So you get your pigment. A pigment is a powdered color. It's a powder color, which determines the color of whatever medium that you or media that you are using. So the chalk, if you want to see the chalk yellow, it means that there has been a pigment yellow added in the chalk, and then there's a binder that is bringing all those particles together to form that stick that you see. So your white and the yellow pencil, chalk, they are available either they becoming soft or they becoming hard. And to give, if they are soft, you know that they will give, you know, darker tones. If you know they are hard, they will give lighter tones. So, and you can even compare, if you wet a pencil, if you put a pencil in water, the pencil becomes soft. Then when you draw, with the chalk, and you draw with the chalk, you realize the outcome becomes more darker. But if the pencil is dry, the chalk is dry, and you write with the chalk, it becomes lighter as compared to the one that was wet or that was soft in nature. So pastel, which is also another type of dried media. So these are soft crayons. So pastels are like crayons. They have those characteristics that crayon is having that are used for drawing. Pastel contain a binder. So the binders, we have different types. You can think of gamma arabic and others that brings those pigments, those particles together. So you can shape them into any stick that you want. So pastel contain binder, but are more bristle and chalkier than crayons. They are available in varieties of colors. Because of their softness, they can easily be blended to create soft, gritted tones. Pastel drawing can be reinforced by spraying over with a spirit fixative. Fixative has appeared here again. So after drawing with the pastel, and if you want the pastel, or probably you want to see your work fresh in the next 10 years, you fix it with fixative. Because in the next 10 years, if you don't fix it with the fixative, the work will lose its quality with time. So you fix it with the fixative so that it will protect the work for you. Also, we have oil pastel. So with the pastel, we have chalk pastel and we have oil pastel. So also oil pastel drawing can be coated with turpentine to fizz and melt the color into the ground upon drawing. The next one we'll talk about is charcoal stick. So these are the common drawing materials. These are obtained from bent wood, mostly from the kitchen or bent farm. They can be obtained in small pieces or long stick in soft and hard texture, depending on the type of wood used and the rate at which it was bent. Chalk sticks work very on a glazed surface, such as cement, wood, fabrics, paper, etc. Usually soft charcoal sticks tend to be soft charcoal sticks tend to be crumbled when used for drawing, but hard sticks works better than soft charcoal sticks. So now we have charcoal. Either you burn it yourself, you can get a container, a Milo container. You can put sand in the Milo container. You can get straws or sticks, soft, a bit dry sticks. Then you cut them into sizable sizes. Then you set it in the sun that you fetch into the container. Then you set your fire. Then you dip the Milo can into the fire. So in about 2 hours time, your charcoal will be ready. And you can use those charcoal that you made to do your drawing, your shading and everything. You can use it to get your portraitures done. And after working with them, you fix it with fixative to protect them. But because due to technology, now we have, charcoal pencils, and they are all charcoal. They were all made from dry woods in our farms, and they all went through the same process. So they all bent them and cased them with those wooden cases that you see in the supermarkets with charcoal sticks. So charcoal sticks are used for setting out drawings directly onto ground. So when you hear ground, you get confused. What is this ground we are talking about? The ground is just a preparatory surface that you have made for your drawings on the supports. Before, example, let's say canvas. Before you can use canvas, after stretching your canvas on the wooden case or probably on your frame, after stretching the canvas, you have to give it a preparatory surface. You prepare the canvas so that you see all minute holes that is on the ground, on the surface. So you prepare the surface nicely, and that is the ground that you prepared. You can mix your motion paint with white glue, then you prepare the surface of the ground of your support, let me put that way. So that is what is meant by ground. So you can see that it says that charcoal sticks are used for setting out drawings directly onto grounds before painting or shading is done. So if you want to use your canvas for your artworks, so either you use pencil, or if you don't have pencil, you can use charcoal to do those outlines that you want to create before the actual painting can be made. It says that it can also be used as substitutes for chalk during transferring. As I said before, if you don't have pencil, if you don't have chalk, if you don't have other dry medias, you can also adhere to charcoal whilst doing your preliminary drawings on your canvas or any support at all that you have. Charcoal marks are not permanent, so they must be sprayed over with a fixative to preserve them. As I said initially, you can spray, and we know that charcoal is a dry medium. Charcoal is a dry medium. Definitely, you need to spray it with a fixative. So your lacquer, your varnishes, they're all there to fix your charcoal work for you. If not, with time, they will fade out. So move on to drawing media, which is drawing material, which is wet media. And they say that by the end of the lesson, we'll be able to state types of state types it should be that constitute of paint or something here. Describe the characteristics and functions of each constitutes of paint. States the types of dry media used in drawing and painting. Describe the characteristics and uses of types of wet media used in drawing and painting. So wet media, as I said initially, you need a liquid to mix that media before you can use it to paint or to work. So in the context of drawing and painting, wet media are liquid or semi-liquidized materials used in conjunction with brush or paints to paint or color an artwork. They are classified into 5 major groups: paints, inks, dyes, and fixatives. So wet media, as I said initially, you need a liquid to mix with the media before you can use it. And you need a brush. If you don't have brush, you might get we call this a brush that looks like a spraying gun. With that one, you pour those mixture in a liquid form in the gun. Then you can also brush or paint with that, spraying gun. And we are being told that this wet media is being classified into 5 main groups. We have paint that you can dip your brush in, then paint with it. Or probably you can pour that mixture into a spraying brush. The one the sprayers use when you go to spray your car. We have a type that the artists also use. It's smaller than what the sprayers use. So that is also says as a brush. We have paints. So your felt paints, your markers, all those things falls under paints here. And you can see that the pen also contains a medium. And that medium is a wet media. It has been mixed with either alcohol or water. Then we have inks, the one used for writing calligraphies on our certificates. Probably you have calligraphy pens. Those pens uses inks in them. Then we have dyes. Dyes are being used by those who do print makings, normally cloth printing. Dye is just a stone. So if it is red, you have a pebble that looks red. So you need to grind those pebbles into a powdered form. Then you come and add liquid of your choice. You can add alcohol, you can add kerosene, you can add petrol, you can add water, any liquid that you want to add to the dye is also accepted. Then it can also be classified as fixative. Fixative example is this can spray, the one that is used for graffiti. So we have different colors of them. They have fixatives in them as well. So that one too, you can also use those can sprays for your drawing, and they are in liquid form. This is what it's trying to tell us. So we move on to paints. Paints. These are available in different kinds and are used for different purposes. Fountain pen, tip, calligraphy pens. We have technical pens. We have ball pens, felt pens, markers. with different tips and others. Pens are either filled with inks or dipped into inks. They are disposables or refillable. They are used for drafting, sketching, tracing, and drawing. They are also used to write certificates, poster, festive cards, and for shading drawing. Pens works very well on paper support. So your pens that you have, your big pen, they are all forms under that classification. So the media inside that glass, inside the tube, is what we are talking about, or what we are referring to. We are referring to the medium in the tube. So you can have red pen, you can have blue pen. The same, you can have green pens, depending on the pigment that has been added to the pen there, and the kind of liquid that has been added inside there. You can see that pen normally they add either spirit to it. That is why when you write in no time, you get dry. So there's a spirit in the pen. So the spirit is now making the pen a wet medium. So our markers, normally they also have spirit in them, but when it becomes dry, we add water to our markers so we can easily write with our markers on our whiteboards and so on and so forth. So those are also wet media. So with the paints, most paints are composed of the following ingredients. So every paint that you see has a pigment, as I said initially. It has a binder, it has a dryer, and it has a thinner. It has these four components that comes together to constitute a paint. So the pigment is the powdered or solid substance in the paint. So in our paints, or probably what is the color or the hue of the paint? You can see that you can grind chalk. Yes, let's say yellow chalk. When you grind the yellow chalk, you get it in a powdered form. And the yellow chalk is the pigment now. So let's imagine an ocean paint. You now have your powder that has been grinded into, sorry, now have our pigment that has been grinded into a powdered form. So the yellow chalk has been grinded into a powdered form. Now you need the other three, that is the binder, the dryer, and the thinner, to make a paint out of the chalk, or out of the pigment, the chalk that you have grinded into a powdered form, which is a yellow chalk. So you need a binder, you need a dryer, and a thinner. So they are available in organic and inorganic types. So pigments are available in organic and inorganic type. The organic pigments are derived from plants, animal, vegetables, and mineral sources such as crude petroleum and coal tar oil, and may be recent in the form of bones, fatty oil, grease, or fusel as in chalks. Inorganic ones are the ones that are obtained from three main sources. So organic ones are the natural one, obtained from the natural or obtained from nature. And the inorganic ones are the ones that are obtained from industries or something. And the scientific one, synthetic ones. So color earths, which are mixed and grounded into fine powder. Examples are ambers, ochres, and sinners, etc. Metal chemically treated to render them into fine powder. Examples include white lead, titanium white, and iron oxides. Combination of heat-treated chemical compounds. These include Prussian blue, zinc chromate, lithophone, and others. So those are made from industries. Those are synthetic pigments. So those ones are mixed from getting those chemicals and all those stuff. And the organic ones are the ones we obtain from plants and other animals, remains, and other stuff.
All right. Christine, excuse,
Yes,
let me
sir.
come in a bit. All right. Yes. As you discussed with your colleagues, and then when you talk of the pigment, it is the solid component of paint. And this solid component of the paint normally gives color. That's the main properties of a pigment. It gives color. It is the powdered content of paint, but when they are in the paint, you don't see that powder because of the binder. So when you look at the component of oil paint, not emulsion, oil paint, we have the pigment, we have the binder, we have the thinner, we have the dryer. Hello, somebody want to say something? Huh? Somebody wanted to say something. Hello? Okay. So just as I was saying, in oil paint, we have four constituents or components that form it. One is pigment. The second one is thinner. The third one is dryer. And then the fourth one is medium or oil. So when you look at the pigment, as we said, it gives color to the paint. So just as your colleague Christian set an example, you can dig clay, okay, dry it, grind it, sieve it. Now you get your powder. When you look at the clay, you have different types of them. So depending on the color of the clay, that will give a particular color. And this is an example of binder. Charcoal, for instance, when you grind it, you have black pigment. And so, as you see it, it is powder in nature, but you cannot use it to work unless you add other component to it so that it will not flare or it will not choke. So charcoal, grinded charcoal is an example of pigment. And so the pigment is the solid or colored component of paint. That is how it looks like. Now, when you look at the dryer is also a component that helps the oil or the binder in the paint to dry faster. So it serves as a catalyst. It causes the paint to dry than the normal time. That is why we add dryer to the paint. Then when you talk about the medium or the binder, you know, the nature of the pigment is powdery in nature. And so without the medium, without the oil, it will look powdery. And once it looks powdery, you cannot use it as a paint. So there's the need that you add some substance to it that will bind all the particles in uniformity. That is why we add oil or medium or binder to it. In certain book, we said oil, in certain we said binder or medium. They are all the same. Either medium, binder, or oil, they are all the same. But in most cases, we use binder because it is self-explanatory. It binds the pigment particles together. And they also allow a bright application. It also gives glossiness to the paint. It is a binder that makes the oil paint look glossy, not the pigment. Yes. And then the last but not the least is the thinner. You know, when you manufacture the paint, you have added your pigment with oil and dryer. You can see that the paint has become very thick. So you need the thickness to go down a bit. So you add what thinner to it. So the thinner is the substance that you add to the paint so that it make the paint very uh, uh, workable. It make the paint consistency to become less so that you can apply it with your brush so that you can even pour it. Otherwise, it will be very solid. So you need to add what thinner to it. It's the same thinner that you use when you want to apply either by brush application or roller application or spray application. So example of the thinners can be seen in the note. And so when you talk of the thinner, you can give example like cellulose thinner, right? Or turpentine. All these example of the thinner. The term is self-explanatory. Thinner, to thin something, something that thins something down, right? We call it thinner. Thank you very much. I hope that you don't have any question. If there's any question, I clarify before Christian will continue. Is that okay? Members, is that okay? All right.
Yes,
So,
sir.
all right. So,
Yes,
then,
sir.
all right, Christian. So you can continue. Christian, you can continue.
So at this point, we'll talk about the characteristics of a pigment. So the first characteristics is they have color. As I said before, we said pigments are the things that gives your paint color, or pigments are the powder
Sir
in
Christian,
your
please,
paint.
your screen is not projecting. If you can look at it quickly.
Okay, sorry. I'm coming. I think I'm having some challenge. Okay. Okay, I think you can see now.
Yeah,
Is it
sure,
okay?
sure, sure, sure,
Okay.
sure.
So characteristics of pigments, we are saying that they have color. Initially, I think we've explained that already, that pigments are the hue in a paint. So whatever that you mix in the paint, your powdered color that you add to your paint. So it says that they are opaque and transparent. And that is true when you apply your paint on the surface. Either you cover the surface that you applied on, or you see the background, or you see the support through the paint. That makes it transparent. They have structure and amorphous or crystal. They have texture fine they have texture, that is fine or coarse. When you talk about fine or coarse, you are comparing either the roughness or the smoothness. So fine is the smoothness and the coarse is the roughness of that very pigment. Then there are toxic and non-toxic functions of pigments. Either they are toxic, they are very harmful, or some too, they are not harmful. So you should take note to that. You don't easily put pigment in your mouth. You should read the instruction on the paint before you put your paint on the mouth, or probably use the paint on your skin, probably if you are doing body art. Provide opacity to the paint. So it provides opacity, and you know opacity, when you talk about opacity, you are talking about how opaque the paint is, that you cannot easily see through the paint. Provide color to the paint. Again, we've said that at the top before. It provides color to the paint. It provides bulk or thickness to the paint. Help the binder to protect the surface. So these are the characteristics of pigment. So binder, this is also called medium, vehicle, or foam former. It is oily substance in paint. They are obtained from two sources. So with binder, we are saying they are called that medium, either vehicle or probably foam former. Why vehicle? So vehicle in the sense that it allows the paint to flow on the surface that you are painting with the presence of a binder. So it is binding the powdered particles together, and again, it's also allowing it to flow on the surface. That makes it vehicle. So binders are vehicle. They also allow your paint, when you pick with brush, your paint can flow on the surface or on the support that you are painting on. And we are being told that we can obtain binders from two sources, either oil or resin. So oil, these are extracts from plant seeds, nuts, and others. Examples are linseed oil, tart oil, Oxalic oil, and others. Then resins, there are two types. We have the natural resin, then we have the synthetic resin. So resin too, they are obtained from tree and may either occur as one, resins. They are tapped and extract from living trees in the same way as a rubber. So
Christian,
when you go to the rubber, come again.
can I ask a question?
Yes.
I want you to throw light a binder as a film former. I'm not clear with that side. With the vehicle, I'm clear. As a binder, as a film former, if you can.
Okay. So binder as a film former, you realize that when you paint, especially with acrylic paint, when you paint with it, it gives that glossy look. That glossy look you are seeing is making as if your work has been protected with a film, with a plastic something on the surface. But it's because of the binder in the paint that is giving you that foam look that you are seeing. I hope you understand.
I get it. I get it. Thank you.
Good. Good. You're welcome. Okay. So with the natural resin, they are obtained from tree, as we said before, and may either occur as resins, they tap or extract from living trees in the same way as a rubber. So when you go to the rubber factories, you see how they extract rubbers from trees. You see it. I think the process is there when you go to the Aguna Kwanta area there. Those in the western region, you can have a feel of that. And fossil, they are natural oxidation of tree juice. It's bracket resin, buried in the ground for ages, and parent tree having rooted away or disappeared. Examples include shellac, matic, or copal, etc. So these are all natural way of producing resins. So we know we have acrylic resin, depending on the binder that is being added into. So as I said, so this even explains why why the foam former. So you can see that they are rubbers, they are plastic that are added into the paint. So which binds the pigment together. So if you use it on your support, you get that foam former look. You get as if it has been coated with a plastic something, because there's plastic resin or natural resin added in it to bind those pigments in the paint. That is why you're having the foam former. So synthetic resin, these are the combination of resin and oil that are modified through high chemical and scientific process. Synthetic resins are produced with improved qualities such as good adhesion, chemical abrasion, and water resistance. Examples include acrylic, archive, polyethylene, polyvinyl acetate, epoxy, and others. So all of these are added into the paint to bind the pigment together. So with the binder, either you have the natural resin or the synthetic resins. So these two, that being natural, being synthetic, you add it to the paint to bring or to bind all the pigment, all the powder pigment in the paint, so that they can easily flow on the surface to serve as vehicle and to make them form a foam former on the surface for you. So the functions of the binder: bind the pigment particles together, as I said before, provide adhesion to the paint, provide elasticity to the paint. So with this point, elasticity, you can easily, like an elastic to the paint, so that you can easily stretch the paint to some extent. Hope you understand that point. Provide glossiness to the paint, hold the pigment particles in suspension, helps the pigment to protect the paint system. So dryers, these are catalyst substance added to the paint to convert the vehicle to a hard substance, or hasten up the drying process of the plants of the paint. Sorry. Examples of dryers are metallic compounds such as lead, cobalt, manganese, dissolved in a white spirit. As we said before, the catalyst added to the paint to make the paint dry faster. That is why when you use acrylic paint, in no time it will dry fast for you. When you use oil paints, in no time, so we have hydrophilic and we have oilphilic. So oilphilics are the wet media that you add oil to them, and the hydrophilic are the ones that you add water to them when you are using it. So the hydrophilics have their dryers, and the oilphilics also have their dryers that you add to the paint. Then move on to thinner. These are solvents added to the paint to break their consistency to a workable consistency. Examples of thinners are, so we know the thinners. So either water, you can add water, you can add turpentine, you can add spirits, you can add a lot to thin the paint into some consistency, so that the paint can be easy for you to use it on your support. Because its nature, the paint, its nature is very thick. When you use those thick paint in applications, then you are doing a different type of artwork, or you are using it for a different technique, which we call impasto. And I think it's very difficult for some of us to do impasto. Impasto is the process of applying paint thick on a surface. So we pick the paint directly from the container, how thick it is, you just apply on the surface. So you see that the paint looks more rough on the surface. That is impasto. But this time around, we don't want to do impasto. We want to paint our room. So we need to mix the paint and break down the consistency into a workable consistency so that we can easily use it to paint our rooms. So either we add turpentine. So it is used to dilute the spirit-based paint such as oil paint, enamel. We have gloss paint. It is also used to thin down varnish. So we have white spirit used to thin, polish, and lacquer. So the white spirit, you can get the alcohols and others. So it will use to thin down your polish or probably your lacquers. Then we have water, and as you know, the hydrophilics use water, H2O, to dilute the water-based paint such as watercolor, poster color, acrylic paints, emulsion paints, and others, so that we can use it to paint our rooms. We have cellulose thinner, a highly volatile thinner used to dilute cellulose paint. Here, I think says should come in. What is cellulose paint? I'm also confused here. Hello, say. Hello. Hello. Hello, colleagues.
Hello. Hello. I think maybe we should go ahead when he comes on board.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Hello.
we can hear you say.
Yes.
Hello,
You were saying something. Yes.
The cellulose paint.
The cellulose
Okay.
paints and thinners.
Okay. When we talk of the cellulose paint, we are referring to the paint that we normally use in spraying cars.
Okay.
It dries faster than the normal oil paint because of
Okay.
its diluent that they use, as we call it, cellulose thinner. So we have cellulose thinner, which normally used to make cellulose paint. So the main characteristic is dry faster and it's very hard and resistant to scratch. That is why we normally use it when we want to spray cars. I hope it is clear. Example
Yes,
of the cellulose paint are the second paint. They are all cellulose paint. And we have the thinner to cellulose thinner that we use in mixing it. I hope it is clear.
yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir. Well understood.
Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Well
All right. So,
understood.
okay, so you can continue.
Okay, so properties of a good thinner. We are saying it must be colorless and should not discolor the paint. So it should be transparent, colorless. There shouldn't be any color in it to disturb your paint. So the paint in which nature, we are talking about the pigments of the paint. If it is red, when you add thinner to it, you shouldn't get light red. No. It must be free from residue such as dirt and other impurities. It must remain long enough to the wet paint to allow for easy application and manipulation. It must not be too volatile to soften the base coating. Example, cellulose thinner must not be used in a substitute for turpentine and white spirits, since it can clot the paint. So as said before, you cannot substitute turpentine and white spirits. You know, spirits can easily break down paint, can easily break down pigment into some form. So the cellulose thinner, it will rather maintain the color of the paint and maintain how the pigment or the paint will be adhered on the surface. Other ingredients such as extruders, plasticizer, anti-skin agents, and others are added to some special paints. So types of paints. So the types of paints, we have different types of paints. So different types of paints are available for use in arts. Let's explore some of them. So watercolor. So watercolor, we are saying that they are water-based paints consisting of fine color pigments dissolved in water. They are transparent when dry and have poor adhesion because they do not contain a binder. To improve the adhesion, glue size must be added before application. They are best applied with soft brush. Watercolor are supplied in two main forms. So watercolor is a type of paint which is hydrophilic, which uses water as a thinner. So it normally uses soft brush to work with it. So we are saying that watercolors are normally transparent when they dry as compared to acrylic paint, which covers up whatever the surface or the supports that you are working on. But when you cover or when you use a watercolor on your supports, you can easily see your support through the watercolor paint. That is why it is transparent. And it says watercolors are supplied in two main forms. That is dry or solid tubes. So these are in the form of cake tablets arranged in small dishes on flat metal containers. So you see them in cubes on a container. So if it's red, you see red in a cubic form, yellow in a cubic form, all the colors in a cubic form in your container. That is how it is being arranged. And I think we've seen such before. Hello, colleagues. Have you seen paint? Have you seen paint in that cubic form before?
No.
Oh, really? Let me see whether if I can download, I can get the picture and show it to you. I think you've seen it, how it looks like.
Yeah.
Okay. So they are in this cubic form, and they use a soft brush. This is the soft brush, which is at the side here, so that you can use it to do your painting. They are like makeup. The one ladies use for their makeup in. Good. So that's how the watercolor stuff looks like. So the second one is paste. So these are formed in tubes and bottles. So that one too is also tube. You just put like normal paste, your pastelates that you have in your house. That's how they come in that form. So if it is red watercolor paint, you see it in a pastelate tube like that. Then you press behind it, then the paint will come out gently. Then you can use it to do your painting. The cake type are softened with water and brush, and the paste type is fastened and squeezed onto the pastel, onto the palette, and mixed with water and brush before application. So the paste type, you have to do your mixing. So you press a bit on your palette, then you can now come in and add water to it. So the secret with watercolor painting, when you are doing watercolor painting, you have to consider, as it is transparent as you're seeing, you have to consider the background of your supports. Normally, it works better or best on papers. So when you mix the paint with water, you have to be considerate. So your highlight, use your background. If you are using white paper, the white papers will expose to bring highlights in your works. So with watercolor, the more you add, if you want to get a tint, you add more water. You don't use white here. So you add more clean water to the watercolor to get a tint of a color, a particular color. If you want to get a light red, you don't add white. You add more water, more clean water, so that you can get a light red. So watercolors are mixed with light consistency so that they can be applied liberally during washing. When applying watercolor, always use one brush for one color unless only one brush is being used. So we don't want to stain our watercolor paints. So you get every new color, you get a new brush when you are doing your painting with watercolor painting. That is why it's saying that always use one brush for one color unless only the brush is being used. Then clean it as you change from one color to another. Watercolors work well on paper, support such as sugar or watercolor paper. So sugar is a type of paper. So we have the manila paper, as we learned in the other printing technology. We have sugar paper, or we have watercolor paper. And other coating must be sprayed upon with a sprayed base fixative, such as lacquer, varnish, polish, etc. To brighten it, It makes it permanent. They are used to wash sketches, landscape, scenes, architecture, and drawings and others. So wash is a technique in watercolor. As you see, they are used to wash sketches. So wash is a technique, pen and wash. We call it pen and wash. It's a technique in watercolor painting. So when you are doing watercolor painting, you should be mindful of pen and wash. The technique, so don't forget that. So we have tempera color. So with the watercolor, I have to tell you, we have two types, two main types of watercolor painting. We have either transparent and opaque watercolor. So with the transparent one, you use water to dilute the paint when you want to get a light color, a clean water. But with the opaque watercolor, we normally call it gouache. Gouache. So the other one, you use white. You add white when you want to get a light color. I hope you're okay with this. I think it's not part of the note here, but I'm just keeping in that with watercolor painting, we have two main types, either gouache or transparent watercolor. So either you adhere to transparent watercolor or you adhere to gouache, that is opaque watercolor. Okay, thank you. So tempera color, these are opaque watercolors, sorry, opaque water-based painting consisting of fine colored pigments dissolved in water. They are available in powdered and liquid form. The powder type is mixed with clear water before use. Tempera color have weak adhesion because they do not contain binder. To improve their adhesion, glue size must be added before application. So the glue here, we are talking about white glue. We are not talking about the other type of adhesives. No, the capital, no, we are not talking about the capital glue. We are talking about white glue. White glue. If you want them to adhere more on the surface for you, you add white glue. Also, any spirit-based fixative can be sprayed over it upon drying. Tempera colors must be applied in thick consistency, else the brush will drag the paints and create brush marks, which can cause the film to crack and peel off upon drying. Preferably, they must be tinned with a minimum consistency before use. They are used for the same purpose as watercolor. So tempera colors have the same behavior as the watercolor paints. Tempera colors have, but rather they are rather opaque as compared to watercolor, which is, so this, I think, okay, as compared to watercolor, which is transparent. So this can also serve as the opaque watercolor. Opaque watercolor. Okay. Then we come to our almighty poster colors, the one we'll be using for our project works. So these are opaque water-based paints consisting of fine color pigments, binder, and dryer. So with the poster colors, you can see that the binders, they contain binder, but the binders are not strong enough. So if you want your color to adhere more on the surface, to flow and adhere more on the surface, you can add white glue to it. And that will also speed up the drying process. And you know white glue also dries quickly. So you can add white glue to it and they can stick and adhere more on the surface. They already contained a binder before, but can also add white glue to poster colors. They are produced as paste or stored in small bottles. They are more pigmented than watercolor. So the nature of the color, if it's red, you see the red mostly as compared to watercolor paint. The red is more deep and thick as compared to watercolor paint. Tempera colors and so they do not necessarily require addition of glue before use. However, and they are saying you don't add glue to it, but if you want the poster color to adhere more on the surface, those that myself I'll be using white glue, because after painting I realized that if I use my hand on the work, the paint gets thick on my hand. So to prevent that, I add white glue to it so the paint will not stick or will not soil the whole art piece. But this is the situation they are telling us not to add white glue to it. Okay. The others can add a little to improve its adhesion and permanence. The color are fetched from the bottle with a small plastic or stick onto the palette and mixed with water and brush. They must be mixed to a medium consistency before use. However, when they are applied too thick, the color will drag the brush and create cracks. They are used for all kinds of painting and graphic communication works. They are most suitable for indoor works and provide and improve the durability of poster colors, poster color painting. The foam can be sprayed with any spirit-based figurative. So there are some techniques you cannot achieve with poster colors. A technique like impasto, as I said before, applying paint on a surface in a thick nature or in its thick nature. You cannot use poster colors to do it. So you can use acrylic paint, you can use oil paints and other type of paint. But poster colors, cannot use poster color for impasto technique. When you do that, the brushes will be dragging the paint from the surface and also be creating cracks on the surface as well. Okay, so now come to acrylic paints, acrylic colors. So these are opaque. Yes, they are opaque watercolor paints that contain synthetic resin. So acrylic paints are synthetic paints because they contain synthetic resins as a binder. They contain synthetic resin as a binder. Poster color don't contain a natural. Poster colors contain natural resin. So we can use poster colors for our skins and others, for body painting and other body arts, but we cannot use acrylic paints. So when you want to use a particular paint for body art, when you go to the market, you ask for the ones that have natural binders in them, so that it will not cause any skin cancer for you. They also contain fine colored pigments, and dryers. They dry very, very fast, have good opacity, elasticity, and flow, adhesion and abrasion, and water resistance. They are supplied as paint in small or big bottles, sorry, big containers. They are also available in paints from filled into tubes. Their drying rates can be retarded by adding a little linseed oil. Their drying rates can be retarded by a little linseed oil. This is normally done when using them in large, realistic mural paintings. And I think you know mural paintings. Mural, you know mural. Hello, class.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
I think you know mural painting. Mural.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
it's paintings on walls.
Your paintings done directly on walls. Because when you're doing those paintings, you need acrylic paints, because acrylic paints are opaque watercolors or water-based paints. Used to prime fabrics, wood, and cement wall, etc. Acrylic painting can be sprayed over a varnish. So if you want to prime your supports, it's normally advisable to use acrylic paint, because the binder in there, it is synthetic resin. It is synthetic, and it holds and seals all the pores that are on the support, or probably your fabric, or your wood, or probably your walls and others, before the actual painting is done. It is very necessary to use acrylic paint to do your priming. Any question?
Yeah, Sir President,
Yes, sir.
please, I want you to throw a little light on these two concepts for me.
Okay.
Priming a ground and the addition of a fixative.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. So when you prime a ground, you are priming also forms part of the preparatory of a ground, the preparatory stages in ground preparation. So you apply paint on the surface of a ground, but with fixative is done after your painting or after your shading. So you apply fixative on a charcoal art. Let's imagine use charcoal to do your portraiture. So you realize that the charcoal has how they call it, the dry medias have this bristles. They can easily be blown away by air. So you want to prevent that from happening. You want to prevent from losing your artworks. So you want to keep your artwork in shape in the next 10 years or probably 5 years. So that is where you fix it with a fixative. You protect your work with a fixative. But priming is different. So priming is done initially before your painting will be done. I hope you understand. Priming is done before painting. The actual painting is done. And fixative is after you are done with your painting and you want to protect the artist. That is why you fix it with a fixative. Are you okay?
Yes, sir. But with the priming, do we prime using colors? And
Oh,
let's see. Okay.
normally it's advisable to use a light color if you want to use color. Apart from using white, which is neutral, you can use a light color. If it is red, you can use a light red so that you can see whatever artwork you want to do on the support. Hope you understand.
Yes, sir.
Imagine you use light yellow for your priming, which is accepted. After priming, giving that first coat. Normally we do priming and seasoning. We call it priming and seasoning. That is preparatory treatment given to a surface. Priming and seasoning. So seasoning, you add glue to your prime so that it can seal all the pores, all the small holes that you are not seeing, but it's there on the surface. So that before you realize that before, when you pour water on your, let's imagine you are working on the canvas, when you pour water on your canvas, the water can penetrate through the canvas, right? When you prime and do proper seasoning and you pour water on the canvas, the water can now not be able to penetrate through the canvas. The canvas will retain the water on the surface for you. That is where you've done proper seasoning and priming. Are you okay? Hello? Hello?
Hi.
I think you're okay with the explanation.
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay.
Are you okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a little linseed oil. This is normally done when using them for large realistic mural. They are suitable for all kinds of painting and graphic communication design works. They are also used to prime fabrics, wood, cements. So when you have a freshly a plaster done, which is cement or a wall, after plastering, you do priming and seasoning. You first of all give it a preparatory ground. You sandpaper the surface nicely, do all those things to get rid of on the surface by sandpapering nicely. Then you come and prime, and after priming, you add glue or something to it. Then that is seasoning. Then you again go the second time and the third time. Then you now use a smooth sandpaper to sandpaper the wall surface. That is the preparatory ground that you are giving to your support. Okay. Or lacquer upon drying to improve its brightness and durability. Okay. Good. So we come to gouache. Gouache. So this is a kind of opaque watercolor that contains inert pigments. 2, it says colorless in pigments. They are also called body paints. Gouache have coarse pigments than transparent. You see, they are comparing both transparent and the gouache. So gouache is an opaque watercolor, and we have transparent watercolor. So either you use gouache or you use transparent watercolor. So watercolors, there are two. We have an opaque watercolor, which is gouache. Then we have a transparent watercolor, which is the transparent watercolors that you have. When you want to get a light color, you tint it with more clean water. But with gouache, if you want to have a tinted red, you add white paint to it. So transparent watercolor, they can be used to achieve transparent and translucent coating on a surface. They are used to wash and paint drawings. Gouache painting should be sprayed over with a spirit fixative upon drying to improve its permanence. So, as compared to the watercolor, after everything you are done with your work, you spray it with a spirit fixative to make the work permanent and last longer for you. That is why we use fixative. You spray a spirit fixative on gouache. So normally, if you want to do body art, we normally fall on gouache than acrylic. Acrylic is more toxic. There are chemicals in acrylic as compared to gouache. So if you want to do body art, you adhere to gouache, which is an opaque watercolor for your art piece on your body. Emulsion paints, which we all know, these are opaque water-based paints consisting of pigments, binder, and a dryer. They are available in variety of pale colors and supplied in plastic containers. They have thick consistency, which needs cleaning with water before use. They have good adhesion than poster color, less adhesive than acrylic. Then they are to prime wooden, plaster, or fabric supports, where a plaster surface is to be finished and in oil painting. Emulsion paint is not appropriate because it cannot resist the alkalinity of the cement. The recommended primer for such substitute is alkaline. Existing primer or acrylic primer, since they have the ability to seal the substrate against the alkalinity, so against the alkaline in the cement. So emulsion paint, we are saying that it is more opaque than the watercolor and less opaque, and adhere as compared to acrylic paint. So acrylic paint adhere more on the surface than emulsion paint. That is why when you go to the market to buy emulsion paint, you realize that the emulsion paints are less expensive as compared to acrylic paint, because acrylic paint would adhere more on the walls as compared to emulsion paint. Annabelle. Hello?
Yeah. Hello. Let me come in small.
Okay, sir.
Yes. Yes. For a student to be given alkaline resistant paint, this is in the sense that the cement contains some chemical called alkaline, and this alkaline react to paint that you give it to it. For example, if you don't prime the cement surface, I mean the fresh cement surface with appropriate primer, and let's say you just go ahead and apply oil paint, what will happen is that the alkaline in the paint will rise and attack the oil in the oil paint. Therefore, saponification will take place. The saponification normally occurs when the oil paint they apply on the fresh cement surface refuses to what? To dry. So when you see it very tacky, when it touches with your finger, it sticks to your fingers. And you can also see some soapy yellowish running from the fresh oil paint you have painted. And that portion that's been attacked by the alkaline will never dry. So there's the need that you use alkaline resistant paint. So this alkaline resistant paint will resist any action made by alkaline in the cement, so that any given paint will not be attacked. That's the main reason why we prime every surface, I mean every cement surface with alkaline resistant paint. In fact, it's very common. When you get to coral paint shops, they have some of this alkaline resistant paint. It is white, but not too white as the normal emulsion paint, and it is water based. So that is the main characteristic of alkaline resistant paint. I hope it is clear. Hello.
Hi.
All right. So, Christian, you can continue.
So we continue with enamel paints, which is also another type of paints. So these are opaque spirit-based paints consisting of vegetable oil, that is linseed, fine pigment, and dryer. So with the enamel paints, it consists of vegetable oil, which is called linseed, a pigment, and your dryer. So they are produced in varieties of colors and stored in small metal containers. They have a good opacity, flexibility, flow, gloss, water, and abrasion resistant. They are supplied in thick consistency and must be cleaned with turpentine to a medium consistency before use. Enamel paints are attacked by alkaline and must not be applied directly on bare or sealed cement-based substrates, such as wall, concrete, and obstacles, cement sheeting, so as to prevent the paint film from being saponified. Saponification occurs when the alkaline in the substrate is activated by moist to attack the linseed oil in the film chemically and convert it to a brownish stuff, soft, sticky, soapy run on the surface. They are used as a finishing coat when preparing the grounds of support such as plaster, wood, metal, plastic, glass, etc. They are also used to execute mural painting and mural signage. They are ideal paints for all kinds of outdoor painting works. Inks. They are fine pigments, liquidized colors into small bottles and plastic containers. They are available in two types. Sorry. Waterproof and water-soluble ink. An example of, sorry. An example of water-soluble ink is rotary ink. Inks are used as fillers for pens, which are used for drafting, sketching, and shading. They can also be applied with brush to color artworks or used in conjunction with watercolors. Wash to shade a sketch. Ink works very well on paper, calabash, wooden supports, etc. Fixatives. They are wet, transparent, added to trial paints to improve the adhesion on or sprayed onto a dried paint to prevent their permanence, durability, glossiness, and render them waterproof, and abrasion resistance. So with this, we have types of fixatives, their thinness, and their uses. So with blue size, we have water added to watercolor, tempera colors, poster colors before use. Varnish, white spirit, sprayed over water and spirit-based paint film when hard and dry. It is also sprayed onto chalk, charcoal, and pastel drawings. Polish, white spirit, sprayed over water and spirit-based film when hard and dry. It is also sprayed onto chalk, charcoal, crayon, and pastel drawings. Lacquer. So the thinner for lacquer is also white spirit, normal spirit, the spirit you use, the eternal spirit, sprayed over water and spirit-based paint film when hard dry. It is also sprayed over chalk, charcoal, drawings, and pastel drawings. Sorry. So you can see down here, it says that it must be emphasized that lacquer and polish are liable to soft and crack enamels or oil paint film when applied excessively with brush. The best method of application is by spraying a single coat. Ideally, the paint film should be completely dried before applying the lacquer. So we now come to support, and it says that by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to state the different types of support used to produce pictures, to describe the characteristics and uses of support in picture making. So support, they are materials or surface on which artworks are made. On which artworks are made. Example of supports are papers, wood, walls, metal, plastics, glass, fabrics, leathers, clay, rock, calabash, guts, human skin, etc. Before an artwork is executed successfully on any kind of support, the substrate must be thoroughly prepared to obtain a good ground, and the kind of preparation given to the ground depends on the type, the nature of the surface. Grounding may involve abrading, filling, sizing, sealing, priming, washing, decreasing, uncoating, finishing, etc. Ground therefore refers to the prepared surface of a support on which artworks is to be executed. So as we said initially, or as I said initially, with the grounding, you are talking about how to prepare your surface before the actual work is done. So it involves, sizing, filling, sealing, priming. All these things comes together in ground preparation when you are preparing a support for your painting, a support for probably your shading. And it all comes in different types depending on the support you are using. If you are using a wooden support, if it is wood, you have to sandpaper the surface. You have to sand the surface, with both rough and later come in with smooth. Then later you come in with priming and you come in with sizing to seal all the surfaces, all the pin holes or all the holes on the supports, so that the supports can adhere to your painting that you are going to do, so that you can get the glossy surface that you want to get after you are done with your painting. Yes, coming.
Yeah, please,
Okay.
from the presentation, you made mention of substrate.
Yes.
I want to understand it clearly in relation to the supports we are talking about.
So this, before an artwork is executed successfully on any kind of support, the substrate must be thoroughly prepared to obtain a good ground, and the kind of preparation given to the ground depends on the type. And what do you, how do you see substrate for? Hello?
Yeah, I am thinking from what I read or from the
Okay.
presentation, I am seeing it to be the same as the
The
ground
support. Yes.
or the support. Yeah, so I'm a bit confused. That's why I'm asking.
Okay. So I think here they are saying that the substrate is now referring to the support that, and how it's talking about the vibration that you give to the ground, you give to the support. That is where the substrate comes in. I hope you understand it this way. Hello, yes, come in.
I'm not clear about the differences between the ground and the support, but I'm having the view that maybe the ground is a surface that you intend to do the drawing, but probably when you do the cleaning, the greasing, and it's ready for you to start printing or drawing, then we call it the support. Or
no. The support is it just reflects. Let's imagine.
Hello. Hello.
That is the support.
Hi, sir.
No, it's not a ground.
So the grounding comes in when you're done
Hello, sir.
sampling and you're done with priming.
Christian, please start talking.
Okay.
Yes. As with the confusion between the support and the ground, it's very simple. Let me give you a typical example. Let's say you have cement surface. The cement surface is also called substrate, right? The cement surface is also called substrate. Now, with a raw cement surface, I don't think you'll be able to do meaningful work there. So, it's a support. But you cannot do any work there without priming it. So, the moment you apply primer onto the surface to prepare the cement surface, now you can do your actual work. Now, the priming becomes what? It becomes the ground. You prepare the ground for the work to be done. You have the plywood. You cannot just go ahead and change the plywood by doing your work straight ahead. You need to prime the plywood. So the primer you give it to the plywood becomes for the ground. Right? So the sandpaper and applying the primer becomes the ground on which the actual work will be done. So the support itself is the plywood, and the preparation, the sandpapering and applying the primer becomes the ground before the actual work will be done on it. I hope it is clear. So they are not the same. So let's say the support is the raw surface on which you do the artwork. But before they do the artwork on the raw surface, you have to give it a ground. And you have to prepare the surface by giving it a primer, the appropriate primer, before the actual work will be done. I hope it is clear to you.
Yes, sir. Sir, please. Does it mean the substrate and the support they can be used interchangeably, or they are
Let
the
me give you
same?
an example. When I construction, refer only to the cement surface. So we call it cement substrate. Hello. The
Yes, sir.
substrate is the flat surface of a cement wall.
Okay.
That is the substrate. You get it?
Yes, sir.
Every cement surface is termed as substrate. Please, is that clear to you?
You cannot use the same term, the substrate. We cannot use it in another context.
Yes,
Will it be limited to only cement walls?
yes, cement wall, that's all. So we now call it cement substrate or cement substrate. In a certain literature, they classify every surface as substrate. That is fine. So they just want to refer to a surface, a given surface, which is also a support. Okay? So is that clear to you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, so Christian can continue, please.
Okay, thank you, sir. So we'll talk about wood being a support. So wood is a fibrous, absorbent material. Different types of wood are produced in various forms, which are used in a support as a support. Sorry. Example are lumber, plywood, compressed board, and veneer. Lumber are often constructed to form large board and used as support for mural. Thick plywoods and compressed board are also used as support for small paintings, murals, and signs. Wooden supports can be used for indoors and outdoors works because they are often durable for indoor works because they can be weakened by continuous rain and sunshine. So if you are using supports like wood, you should be considerate. Consider where you are going to use it. It should be indoors, because we know that when it rains and you think of outdoors, the rain might cause problem to the wood. And sunshine, as time goes on, will let the wood also get destroyed. So it will be appropriate when you use the wood or wooden support indoors. It can be your assembly hall, it can be your offices, it can be in your room. You can do works that are stored in galleries. It is accepted when you are using wood. Cement wall or plaster. These include construction materials such as asbestos sheets, because it's also made of cement. They are absorbent. Sorry, they absorbent and active in alkaline because the cement is produced from the limestone, which have high alkaline content. They are often used as supports for mural and signage production. The grounds of cement substrates must be well prepared for appropriate tools, materials, and methods before painting are executed on them so that the painting can last long. So you have supports like metal. Two main types of metals are used as supports: ferrous and non-ferrous metals. So either you use ferrous metal or non-ferrous metal. Example of ferrous metals are iron, steel, etc. An example of non-ferrous metals are aluminium, zinc, galvanized steel, lead, brass, etc. They are produced in high plates, either plain or corrugated, and are used as support for small paintings and mural signs. Metal grounds must be well prepared with appropriate tools, materials, and methods before paints are executed on them. Materials are best painted with spirit-based paint. However, the use of water-based paint will cause them to rust, especially porous metals. Then we have the plastic sheets. So plastic sheets as a support. These are available opaque, transparent, translucent, and transparent types, and supply in variety of thickness and colors. These are two basic types of plastic sheets: thermoplastic, and thermosetting plastics. The thermoplastic soften upon heat, while the thermosetting harden upon heat. They are non-absorbent and have smooth surfaces. Plastic sheets are used as a support for painting and signs. However, due to their smoothness of the substrate, they must be painted with tenacious gloss paints so as they secure good adhesion for paints for the paint system. Sorry. We have glass, so you can use glass as support. So with the glass, these are mainly composed of silica, lime soda, and potash. They are transparent and translucent, smooth and textured, non-bristle and non-absorbent. However, they can crack due to improper handling. The glossiness of the surface provides weak adhesion for paints, therefore, they passed by painted with tenacious oil-based paint to prolong the life of the paintings. They are mostly used as support for painting, painting and signs. So fabrics, different kinds of fabrics are used as support for painting and signage works. They are stretched as canvas for painting and also used to make banners, flags, etc. Examples of such fabrics include cotton, polyester, nylon, decons, etc. Fabrics are fibrous materials. They are highly absorbent and have curl on the surface, which provides a key for adhesion of color. We have paper. Paper is a thin sheet of compressed vegetable cellulose fiber. They are classified as light papers and heavy papers. So with the light papers, these are thin sheets of papers that are lighter in weight. Example is banks, bond sheets, cartridge sheets, etc. Light papers are mostly used for writing, drawing, and printing. They are available in different colors and either coated or uncoated. Coated papers are non-absorbent and glossy, whilst uncoated papers are absorbent and have varied rough textures. Heavy papers. These are also called board or cards. They are opaque, thick, and vary in flexibility. They are coated or uncoated, textured and untextured, patterned or patterned. It should be patterned or unpatterned. They are produced in varying grammage. Some examples are Manila, Vanguard, Strawboard, Chipboard, Great Beard, etc. They are used as a support for painting and drawing, and also used to mount and frame paintings and drawings. So, sizes of papers. So the size of papers, we have papers are usually solid in rim of standard size, such as A0, A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. So these are the paper sizes from A0 to A5. The quantity of individuals sheets packed into one rim is based on the following. Rim of handmade sheet contain 472 sheets. Rim of paper for industrial and electronic printing of books, documents, posters, etc. contain 500 sheets, which we already know, like your A4 sheet, the bond paper, sorry, the A4 size paper for a bond paper. I think one rim is 500 sheets. So note, the size of the paper reduces by half of the above. The largest size is A0, while the smallest is A5. So with the size here, we can see A0 is the largest. So A1 is twice of A1 will be equal to A0. Twice of A2 will be equal to A1. Then A2 is made up of 2A3. So the size of 2A3 will be 1A2. And 2A4 will be A3. And goes down to 2A5 will be 1A4. So that is what is being said, that A0 is the biggest size as it follows, like A1, A2, A3, A4, and A5. So we now get to preparation of ground. So with the preparation of ground, we are saying that by the end of this lesson, you'll be able to state the tools, materials that are used to prepare ground of different supports in picture making. When you want to prepare your ground, describe in correct sequence the process involved in preparing a ground of different types of support for drawing and painting. So how to prepare a ground of a wood? I think we've been told already that ground is a preparatory treatment given to a surface before the actual work is done. So how you prepare your surface when you have wood as a surface? What are you going to do to get the preparatory done before you do your actual work? So the first point, we are saying that rub down across the grain with medium grade sandpaper and dust off. So you will sand. Imagine you have a wood, plywood, can be plywood, any type of wood that you have at hand. You said, first of all, sand the surface of the plywood, and it should go across the grain. Don't go vice versa. Don't go against the grains. It should go across the grains. If it is the grain, if you see the grains is going right, you follow to the right direction. If it is going left, you go to the left direction. If it's going up, so you don't go across. You don't go to the opposite direction. So you grain so you can get the pattern neatly done on the surface whilst you grain. Then later on, you dust off. That is, you clean the dust from the surface. It says rub down again along the grains with fine grade sandpaper and dust off. So the first one is done with a medium grain. So the sandpapers too, they are also, the more grains you have on the sandpaper, the smoother you will get, the finer you will get. So if the grains on the sandpaper are less, that means that you are going to get a rough surface. So you should make sure you get a grain that is
Sir Christian.
more than the first one that you used.
Sir Christian.
Yes, sir.
Sir Christian.
Yes,
The
sir.
first point was saying we should rub down across the grain. And the second point is also saying we should rub along the grain. So please, can you clarify the two before we move on?
Okay, so the first one, we are working with, let's imagine we are working with a rough sandpaper. That is a medium grade sandpaper. So let's imagine the grain on the plywood is moving to the left, or probably is moving to the right. So you scratch the surface to follow to either the left or to the right of the grains, depending on the direction of the grain on the plywood. This time around, you are working with a rough sandpaper, a medium grade sandpaper. Then the point two, you now come in with a fine sandpaper that will produce a result that the surface will be smooth. Then you also go the same direction that you did to the first one. But this time around, you are working with a fine graded sandpaper. Are you okay?
Yes, sir, but I'm not that convinced because of the along and across that is showing up there. The along, but you are saying we should follow along the grains, like in
Yes.
the direction of the green. And the second one is also saying, the first one is saying across, and the second one is saying along the grains. That's what is confusing me. I think the prepositions there also. They are trying to confuse me.
Yes, they are trying to confuse you here. They are long and they are cross. But what I know is you follow the direction of the grain. You don't go against, you follow the direction of the grain. You don't want to spoil the grains on the wood. Yes, do you understand?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So the third one says apply 1/10 foot of emulsion and acrylic paint as primer with brush and allow it to dry. The primer must be thin with a sharp light consistency before use. The importance of the primer is to fill the pores on the surface to certify suction and provide a good ground for the adhesion of the substrate coating. So this one, after you are done.
Hello.
Yes, hello.
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 Yes, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes,
you.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I want to clarify the grain direction of sandpapering. When you talk of along the grain and across the grain, let's say for instance, a piece of food, look at the way the grains move. When you sandpaper in direction of the grain, it means you are sandpapering along the grain, the direction of the grain. If let's say it goes vertical, right, and you also sandpaper vertical, it means you have sandpapered along the grain. However, if it goes vertical and you sandpaper horizontal, you have sandpapered across the grain. It's very simple. The terminology is self-explanatory. When the sandpaper in direction of the grain, the direction of the grain, you said you have sandpaper along the grain, you are alongside the grain. But when the sandpaper across the grain, let's say the grain go horizontally, and then you have sandpaper vertically, it means you have crossed the grain. So in normal circumstances, when you are preparing a surface, you're looking at the nature of the surface. If it's very rough, you cannot go along the grain. You first have to cut across the grain to bring out the teeth down, to bring out the texture surface down. Before, when you reach the smoothing area, smoothing portion, you sandpaper along the grain. So you do across the grain to bring out the roughness of the surface down before you intend to sandpaper along the grain to give a smooth finish. That is the explanation, please. I hope it is clear.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, we can continue.
So when you are done with sandpapering with your fine sandpaper, you now coat with a primer. It can be emulsion paint. So you mix your emulsion paint to get that your light consistency. Then you apply on the surface so that all the pores will be sealed on the surface after it dries. So fill all holes on the surface with polyfiller and filling knife and allow it to dry. So after you are done with the first priming, you now come in with your polyfiller. See polyfiller to fill all these holes. Then you leave it to dry. So after it dries, says that the fifth point says that cut down, rub slightly with fine sandpaper and dust off again. So after filling with a polyfiller, you now come again. Then you use a fine sandpaper. Then you sand the surface to get rid of any bumpy stuff because you filled with a polyfiller. Then you smoothen it down neatly and you dust or you clean the surface with a rag to dust off the surface. So the 6 points, apply an uncoated, so I applied an undercoat and allow it to dry. So apply an undercoat and allow it to dry. So you come in again with your emulsion paint that you think you are going to use for, it can be a light color. Then you coat on the surface, and it should be a light color. It should be a light color. Then you coat the surface with that light color and allow it to dry. That is after you are done sandpaper and dusting off those particles from the surface. Then the 7th point says that cut down and dust off again. So you also come again, use a fine sandpaper again. Then you smoothen the surface neatly, gently. Then you dust off again. Then the 8th point says that apply finishing coats. So you apply a finishing coat. So you coat again, then you are done with the preparatory surface of the ground. That is preparing your ground. That is how to prepare the surface before the actual painting is done on your wooden supports. So ground, how to prepare a ground for cement surface. So that one, so the first one is saying that remove mortar splash with scraper if present. So you come to your surface. You first of all use your hand on the surface, and if you see any mortar splashes on the surface, you now come in with your scraper. Then you scrape off those splashes of mortar that is on the surface. You scrape off, and after you scrape off, it says rub down slightly with smooth sandpaper and dust off. So you pick your smooth sandpaper, then you sand the surface of walls. But normally, what our painters do, they don't do all these things. They come, they will just use scraper, then they start painting. Nobody sandpapers your surface for you. And when you do that, in no time, the paint will fade out from your walls, and you see cracks on the wall surfaces. But we want to prevent that. So you have to sandpaper the surfaces. Then later on, you dust off. You sandpaper, but that is you rub down the surfaces with a smooth sandpaper and dust off. We are saying that for oil paint finishing, apply 2 thin coats of alkaline. So apply 2 thin coats of alkaline resistant primer and acrylic paint as primer, and allow it to dry. These primer have the ability to hold back the alkaline in the cement and prevent it from attacking the linseed oil in the enamel paint and cause it to saponify. Saponification is a defect in painting in which alkaline reacts chemically with linseed oil in paint and converts the binder to brownish, soft, sticky, soapy running substance on the surface of the paint. The alkaline in the wall becomes activated and when the wall or the plaster is active in moisture. So fill small cracks with indentations with polyfiller if present. So after you are done with the sample print and other things, you watch through your wall, you watch on the wall surface if there are any cracks available. You fill it with a polyfiller. Cut down slightly with fine grade sandpaper and dust off. So after filling, you allow it to dry. After it dries, then you again come in with your fine sandpaper. Then you cut down any bumps that is on the surface. Then you dust off the surface. Apply undercoat. So you now come and apply an undercoat. You apply it nicely on the surface. Then the last point says apply finishing coat. So you apply the first one, say apply undercoat. That is why you prime. So in those days, what we used to, we have whitewash, but now we don't use it anymore. You can get a white emulsion paint, apply it first, then later on you apply the finishing coat. Or probably you can give it a two coating. The first coat will serve as a primer, then you now come in with a finishing coating. That is, the first one is to seal any unseen pores, holes that are on the surface. Then you again give it a finishing, that is the second priming, and you're done with your painting. So it says, note, if the painting or the signs would not be finished in emulsion paint or acrylic paint, a coat of emulsion or acrylic paint must be applied as primer. I think that is what I said. So imagine if you are using acrylic paint to paint your room. What do? You don't paint it only once. You give it at least 2 or 3 coats. So the first coat will serve as an undercoat for you. Then later on, you give it a second coat, a second priming. Then you are done with your painting. So how to prepare a ground of a metal? So the metal, we degrease the surface of the washing. Sorry, we degrease the surface by washing with white spirit. So probably you can mix, or you can get yourself a rag. You put the rag in the spirit, a white spirit. Then you clean the surface if there are grease on the surface. So you decrease the surface. Or probably if you don't have spirits and you have soapy water, you can get a soapy water, a detergent, then you put your rag in it. Then you can use it to rub or clean your surface to decrease if there's a presence of grease on the surface. So the second one says, wet a brady with smooth waterproof abrasive paper using white spirit as lubricant, and wipe off the spirited, wipe off with white spirit and clean rag. So the surface, after you are done with the degreasing, you can come in and wipe the surface with a clean cloth so that it will dry the surface for you. Fill the surface imperfections with 2-pack metal filler, peel and hardener, and allow it to dry. So after you are done with the degreasing and the wiping of the surface, now you come in with a metal filler. Then you fill the surface of the sheet, that is the metal with a metal filler and a hardener. So it will allow the filler to harden nicely on the surface and you allow it to dry. So the fourth one says, cut off the filler to obtain an even level surface by dry filling and grinding and dust off. So here, after the metal filler is dry, you cut off either by sandpapering or either by grinding. When you go to when you want to spray your car, what do? They do all the filling where there is indents, where there is dent, they fill all the dents parts with fillers and everything, and after they will sandpaper it nicely to get even surface, even leveled surface. Or probably if they don't want to use sandpaper, they can get a grinding machine to grind the surface neatly for you. Then they will dust off all those particles on the surface. So the fifth is cut down with fine waterproof abrasive paper, emery cloth, either wet or dry. So you get yourself another grinder, which is smooth, which is fine, which will give you a smoother effect. You now again grind the surface neatly. Then you dust off the surface and allow it to dry. Put the filled area in the dry and allow it to dry. Putting the filled area and allow it to dry. So at this point, I don't understand this point well. Colleagues, if anybody understands this point, very point well. Hello? Hello?
Hi. We are conducting search.
Okay.
Christian.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what I have here is it it means to cover or smooth a repaired or hollow area with putty,
Okay.
and then wait for it to harden before continuing with your work. You spread putty over the area to make it even and smooth.
And I want to know the meaning of that putty. Is it a chemical or something?
I'm sure, because when you read from down here, it says it means applying putty. That's Putty. It means applying putty to a surface to smooth or seal it, then
Okay,
waiting for it to dry before further work.
okay, okay. So, colleagues, I think putty might be a chemical or a substance that is used to fill.
What
It might be a
is a
filler.
dough-like mixture?
Okay,
Dough-like mixture.
okay, okay. I think it also helps in um, filling the pores or the small holes that are on the surface, or to get an even level surface. Then you allow it to dry. That's why I say putty the filled area and allow it to dry. Yeah. So cut down slightly with smooth, waterproof, and adhesive paper. So you come in with a smooth, a fine adhesive paper, the sandpaper, a smooth one to cut it down to get rid of any areas that might come up a bit or any bumpy areas. When you do that, you cut it down with your fine sandpaper. So it's primed immediately with zinc rich and zinc chromate metal primer and allow it to dry. So whilst you are done putting the filled areas, you now come in with your zinc and zinc chromate metal primer. So you apply your primer, which is the zinc chromate or zinc rich, on the surface after you are done with your sandpaper. Then you apply undercoats and allow it to dry. So undercoats can also be referred to as the first coat or the first primer. So you prime, you get your paints, you give it first coats, then the 10th one says apply finishing coat. Then you prime the second time and or probably the third time, and you are done painting your metal sheet. How to prepare ground of a plastic support. Now want to decrease the surface by washing with detergent solution, that is soapy water. So you mix your soapy water, you put your rag in, then you degrease the surface to get rid of any oil on the surface or any grease on the surface. You get rid of them. Then it says rinse the surface with clean water and allow it to dry. So now we get your clean water. Then you wash the surface, then you allow it to dry. Apply a coat of full glossy enamel or oil paint directly on the surface as a prime and allow it to dry. So after rinsing, you now prime your first coat. You prime the surface with either oil paint or enamel paint on the surface and allow it to dry. Then you do your finishing coating. So the finishing coating, that is where you do your actual work. Your actual work. So after you are done with applying the oil paint directly on the surface as a prime, now you can come and do your painting or probably your drawing or your artwork on it. How to prepare ground of glass supports. That one to decrease, we'll get rid of every oily substance on the surface. So you degrease the surface by washing with a spirit. So after doing that, we rinse the surface with detergent solution and a warm water. So we'll go in with warm water, then we'll rinse the surface of the surface that we degreased. Then the third one, double rinse the surface with the clean water and allow it to dry. So after doing with the warm water, you again use normal water to rinse the surface. Then you allow it to dry. You give it your first coat, that is priming. So apply undercoat. So the undercoat you apply, it's all about priming. Because after your work, after you are done with your final work, you will not see that coat. That is why they are saying undercoat. So the first priming, you do it, then you come in with your actual work. That is the finishing coat. But let's imagine I want to paint my metal red. So the undercoat, I can use white. Then applying finishing coats, I can use red. That is what is meant by finishing, applying finishing coats, or probably applying your actual or do your actual work. So number say alternative, the degrease surface can be slightly roughened by etching with weak hydrofluoric acid to provide toothing and key before painting. How to paint letters and drawings. Hello, colleagues.
Hi.
Somebody should continue for me. I'm really tired. So you read, I will explain. Don't worry. Hello.
Hi.
And
Yeah,
then we should read and you
exactly. Don't
explain.
worry. Yes.
Okay, that one that we can do, but the explanation that we
No,
can't.
I will explain. Don't worry.
So where are we? We are at how to paint letters or drawings on a glass.
Yes.
So let's go. Step 1 says set out the copy in right reading on drawing sheets or tracing paper. 2 says draw through the design at the back of the sheet with pencil. Number 3 says place the back of the design on the glass in reverse and fix it with adhesive tape. 4, paint the design at the other side of the glass with acrylic or oil paint and sable brush to the required finish and allow it to dry. Number 5, paint over the painted side with 2 coats of gloss oil or enamel paint so that the design will be sandwiched in between the glass and the paint. Would you want to talk about it or go over?
I'm coming on. Since I'm having issues, I'm coming. I think this very one is self-explanatory here. That is when you want to paint letters and drawings on the glass. I think you can see that the points here are self-explanatory here. I think it's self-explanatory.
Okay, I think we are getting good. So we move to the next slide.
Okay. Okay.
So go to how to paint letters or drawing on glass. This is step 1. Says set out the copy. Your screen is gone.
I'm coming on. Hello?
Yes, please.
I think my screen is off, right?
Yeah, it's off. From the slide I have here, after the how to paint letters on or drawings on a glass, the next slide is supposed to be how to prepare ground of fabrics for painting.
Okay, I think it has come.
Yeah.
Let me try and do it well.
Yeah, Sir Christian.
Yes, sir.
I'll be grateful if you will switch to the previous slide so that we can even end with that one. I want to get the explanation clearly how to do painting on glass, because I'm seeing something that you have to do the painting in the right direction on the paper, then afterwards you turn it around and do it in something reverse motion or something like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So I think even if we are able to go through that one and the understanding is clear, it's better than we faster them.
I think it's level only 2 slide. It's level only 2 slide. That is for the how to paint letters or drawings on a glass, and then the fabric one. So I think we should get the understanding well for the 2. Then we can we can call it a day.
Okay.
That will only 2 slide.
Okay, so is it in now?
And so let's go to how to paint letters or drawing on a glass.
Yeah.
So how to paint letters or drawing on a glass? So we are saying I set out a copy in right reading and draw and drawing sheets on a tracing paper. So you have a tracing paper is more like, I think you've all seen a tracing paper before.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not the carbon paper, no. A tracing paper is more like transparent. It's not like carbon paper. When we go to the market, you get a tracing paper. It's more transparent. So you put it in the right reading order on the sheet. Let's imagine Kofi. You are going to write Kofi on your glass. So Kofi should be written Kofi. Then you put the Kofi Kofi on a tracing paper. It says draw through the design on the back of the sheet with a pencil. It is saying that draw through at the back of the sheet with draw through the design at the back of the sheet with pencil. So we now draw in a way you would trace the Kofi Kofi onto the tracing paper. Place the back of the design.
Hello, Zach Christian.
Yes.
Yeah, so from here, I am saying that you are going to first do it in the right reading direction. That is the normal way we write.
Yes.
Then afterwards, you turn it around, then you trace it like Kofi from the back. I don't know. You see, when you write it in front, it will appear at the back, somewhat faint.
Yes.
Then
Yes.
I don't know if that is what it's saying. Then how it will appear at the back, you trace it also from there. Or
See, draw through. That is what I want to get here. Draw through the design at the back. Let's see. At the back of the sheets with the pencil.
yeah, that's what I'm believing. I want to turn it the back.
Yeah, I just want to get it right.
So does it mean that you are tracing the image on the glass? Hello.
Hi.
Does it mean that the point 2? Does it mean that we are transferring the image on the glass in reverse?
Set out the copy of the reading.
Because the first one set out the copy in the right reading order. It's like you are drawing the image how you want it to look like. Now the second one, they said draw through the design at the back of the sheet. Meaning that after you drawing, before you transfer, you are going to turn the paper upside down. Because you can't just draw on a glass on a flat surface. You want to see through it. So maybe you turn the paper upside down onto the glass. After that, then you transfer the image. So you tracing through the sheet. It's like you are transferring the image onto that in the reverse one. Or what do you think?
Set out the copy. Yeah, right. On the drawing sheet.
Exactly. You see, what I'm picturing here is that you see, mirror has the way it also observes drawings and letters.
Yes.
For instance, if you write that Kofi and you show it to a mirror, it will appear in a different way. So maybe you turn it, then at the back, you trace it in that format before you continue with whatever you have to do.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello. Yes, what point are you trying to clarify? Is it on transfer?
Yeah, the whole point.
So,
The whole point
how
of what?
to
The transfer.
letters or drawing on glass?
How to do what? So,
How to paint letters.
how
Slide
to
on
draw
the
on
screen.
glass, right?
Yes.
How to paint
Yes,
letters?
it's very simple. You know, listen, please. The draft is transparent, right?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So if the draft is transparent, all the image should be on normal drawing sheet, right? After drawing, let's say letters on the plain sheet, the next thing that you do is, you have to paint the glass the reverse side. So what you do is you place the drawing sheet that contain the letters. The right side to face up. Then before the right side to face up, what you have to do is there are two things. You either um soak the drawing sheet in the oil or apply oil onto the drawing sheet that contains the letters, or the letter itself will be done on normal tracing paper, which is transparent. The reason being that you want the letters to be seen through the glass at the back of the drawing paper onto the glass. So what you do is, let's say you have normal drawing paper, you have done your letters on, then you coat it with oil. When you coat it with oil, the letters should be seen at the back of the drawing sheet. So in this case, what you do is you place the drawing paper, which is transparent now, by coating it with oil. You place it on the glass surface. Then you mask it. When you mask it, you will see the letters through the glass in a reverse. So when you see the reverse, then you paint the reverse side of the image at the back of the glass. So you fix the image on the drawing sheet, which is transparent, on one side of the glass. That will be seen at the other side of the glass. Then you paint it there. Do you get it? So when you remove the image from the glass, you see that the painting has been done at the back of the glass, which is transparent, but it will stand out as the one that is on the drawing sheet. That is how it will look like. Is it clear? Hello?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Is that clear to you?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Okay,
Sir,
so you can continue.
my
Yeah,
question now is about the painting of the uh letters. Are we going to use that kind of stencil way of doing it on it? Maybe you finish doing it, then you paint through it to appear, or because as we are doing the discussion, I'm trying to create a mental picture of getting a transparent glass jar. Then I'm doing it alongside. So I want to understand how really we are able to paint the letters to
what are
appear
you
on the
painting? Is it
glass.
letters or you are painting portrait? Listen, what are you painting? Are you painting letters or normal
Letters.
painting of portrait? Yes,
Letters.
the letters is what should be done in the reverse side of the glass. Do you get it? It should be done in the reverse
Mm.
side of the glass. So the image is drawn on the sheet of paper. You have to coat it to become transparent so that you can see the image in a reflection at the back of the drawing sheet. Right? When the image reflects at the back of each sheet, you place the same on the glass. And you could see it at the back of the glass too. When you turn it upside down, because you tint it and turn it outside down, you could see the image in the reverse. So the letters, as you're painting, to start from left to right, it is to be in a reverse form. So you paint it aside. When you paint it aside, they remove, you view it at the front side, you see it in the correct order. It's just like a normal way of making stamp. Or if you don't get it.
Yes,
Hello?
I'm convinced.
Hello?
Hi, Vivek.
Hello?
Hi.
Uh-huh. Who is still not getting the part?
Hello. The one who is
Hi,
disturbed,
sir.
please can you respond? I want to clarify. Say yes,
Yeah, sir.
Yes, sir, we are convinced.
yes. Is it okay now?
Yes,
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 sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes. It is just like working at the back of glass, not the front side, the back, so that you can see it in front. It's simple. Like the normal sticker. When they fix it inside the car, you see the right side in the frontal section. It's like that. But with this one, you have to do it in a normal layout. Then you cause the paper to become transparent, and then you paste it as it is. When you paste it as it is, because it is transparent, when you turn the back of the glass, you see it in the reverse form. Then you paint it as such. So when you peel off the drawing sheet, you could see the real format in the front side in the normal setting. So you paint the whole letters in the reverse form at the back of the glass, so that the front side will be seen as a normal font, normal construction. But when you're painting it, you paint it in a reverse form. But when you turn the glass, it will appear as the positive section, as you see it. But just that the paint is at the back. The paint is at the back of the glass. Simple. Is that clear to you? Hello?
Okay, sir, thank you.
Hello? All right, so you can continue.
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, sir, Christian.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please move to the last slide so that we can complete the lecture for the day.
I'm not really getting what he is talking about. So, but hello.
Hello, sir, Christian.
Uh-huh. So how to prepare ground for fabric for painting, fabrics for painting. So one, remove all dirt from the fabric. So you remove all the dirt from the fabric. Two, apply a coat of weak, it's brackets, well diluted glue size, it's brackets, wall glued, white glue, and allow it to dry. Size wall, sizing will seal the pores of the fabric partially to justify the stashing of the thinner
Yeah, sir,
by
Christian, please, we are still having the old slide on the screen.
whoa. Okay. Are you okay?
Yeah, it's okay now.
Okay. So how to prepare ground for fabrics for painting? It says remove all dirt from the fabric. Two, apply a coat of weak, well diluted, glue size, white glue, and allow it to dry thoroughly. Sizing will seal the pores on the fabric partially to certify the suction of the thinner by the superimposed coating. Apply a coat of acrylic or emulsion paint as primer to complete the ground for painting. For enamel painting, applying a thin coat of enamel paint after priming. Note, enamel paint should not be applied directly onto fabric without sizing and priming, since the oxidizing effect of the linseed oil will harden and soften the fabric, which will eventually cause the fabric to become brittle. So with fabric, when you want to do your painting or probably your artwork on the fabric, you first of all remove any twine that is on the fabric, or remove any dirt that is on the fabric. So either by washing, if there are some stains, you can wash and allow it to dry. Or you can do hand picking. You pick any twine that is on the fabric, any dirt at all you can think of. Two, you apply well diluted, we call it wick. So a well diluted glue size onto the surface, that is by priming the surface. So you can prime the surface with acrylic or emulsion paint to help you to seal all the pores that are on the fabric. So you can again give it another priming to get the holes more sealed and allow it to dry. So if you want to use it for enamel painting, you again have to coat the surface with the enamel, because we were told that the enamel contain that alkaline in it, which will have effect on the fabric when you coat them directly on the support. So after you priming, you can now come again, you prime with the enamel painting. Then you do your final work. That is the preparatory that it will give to the fabric when you want to do your painting on a fabric. Hello, colleagues.
Yeah, yes.
I think we are done.
Christo.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Well done. Very good. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed your lesson. In fact, we were able to operate within the anointing of Doc. Christo.
Man is tired though, eh?
Yeah. It's very easy. You have done it. God bless you.
Yeah, Chris.
So,
yes, it was.
Yeah, you do well.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is done. I'll buy yogurt.
yogurt.
The second slide. So I'll send it to the general concept. Is going to share it on the platform. I sent you this.
Noted, sir.
Which talk about the unity of this thought. So please contact me for the slide. You have another slide. You contact me for the second slide.
Okay, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Okay.
Bye.
All right.